Hey everybody, welcome back to our Speed Shop. So yesterday I did a little quick video on making, that I made a homemade coilover shock for, moving the car around just for stupid purposes. So I'm going to make a quick video on how I did that. It's not too hard of a project, but figured I'll record it so everybody can see it. And I don't recommend you doing this. It's just something I'm doing to pass time and get the car back on the ground so I can move it. All right, so first things first, what I'm going to do is take this spring. It's a front spring off a 2000 Camaro. This is a leaf spring bracket off of a 2006 Chevy Silverado. This is a spring perch off the same Camaro, both of those. So and this is the original mock-up one I used for doing exhaust and setting up the rear end. So I'm going to take all this stuff and turn it into one of these. And basically what this is just took a piece of a little bit bigger tubing, welded that spring pocket to it. Then I took this piece, cut it down so it can slide together. And you can see the brackets up here, and basically everything else is the same. So I just gotta cut this apart and make it work like that. So I have some kind of softer suspension than what I had on there before to move the car around. And I'm not going to be driving this on the road, just so you know. It's just to move it around the shop and around the property here, just to be able to move stuff around a little bit. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do is cut this spring and trip over the duck, because he's out here, of course. So basically just going to use this spring that I already cut off as a reference. Try to line it up to where it looks right, and then make a mark to cut it. Go right about here. All right, so as you can see, I went and cut the spring down. And I'm using the bottom half of the spring that goes into the perch. So that way it fits right into that original perch as well. Clean it up. Now I gotta cut a piece. I gotta cut this center tube. I need to cut that next. And I believe that was 8 inches, but I ended up cutting an inch off of it, so it'll probably go like 7. All right, so I got these parts cleaned up and ready to go together, at least for the bottom part. So I'm just gonna stick this on here, and I'll stick a magnet on there just to hold it up there. And weld it together. Real simple. All right, so as you can see, I got that welded on there now. And it's pretty hot, but not too bad where I gotta touch it. So that's the first part right there. So let's get on to the rest of it. All right, so the next thing I need to do is get this one cut apart. So I need to remove this outer piece, because this is one solid piece inside there. So I need to remove this so I can get that out and use it for the inside part of the shock. All right, so I got that separated from this big tube, and this isn't being used again, so, because we're gonna make this. It needs to be the same as that. So I need that much distance down here, according to, whatever. So that's what I'm shooting for. All right, so basically the way this works, with this section here, let's just use a little strip of metal right here to pick it up and center it, like so. And then I weld it on to where it's 3.5 inches from the end of this to the bottom of that. This way, just taking the measurements off the one I did out of the, without any real measurements, just kind of threw it together. But now that I have one to measure off of, that's what I'm gonna do. All right, that completes that part of that install. So now I gotta do the top part with the spring and everything. We'll let that cool down for a little bit. I think it's about lunchtime anyways. Yeah, pretty close. All right, so we got that portion done. See, it's all welded up. Spring perches on there now. So now we got to make the second half. And we'll start that out with this by drilling a hole through it, or making the hole bigger. So let's do that. Okay, so this is going to be the setup for the top half of the shock here. And the distance from the center line of this to the top of the plate is about 3 3/8. Like I said, I'm just taking measurements off of the stuff I just did. You know, I didn't make any measurements at all, I just kind of did them. And so we're going to go and weld this together. And that's, then we'll go on to actually attach it to the spring after that. All right, so I got that all welded on there now. So that's one more piece that's done, and this little piece right here is going to be a wedge. I got to put an angle on it. It's going to wedge and raise up the, I'll show you in a minute. It's going to be easy once I have it all set up. But it's going to be a wedge that actually goes between this and the spring to fill the gap and level it out. And I'll show you that here in a minute. All right, so this is what I was talking about. You see how the spring width or height is a little bit, you know, quite a bit higher than that. So to make this level, putting a little wedge in there. And just weld it all together. Like I said, this is not to be driven on. It's just to be setting up the, just be able to move the car around the shop, basically. So that's what I'm gonna do. All right, there you have it. It's upside down right now, but so there you have your shock. A little coil over imaginary shock. Comes apart just like that. But it gives just a little bit of cushion now when it's on the ground. And we'll put them on the car here in a minute after it cools off, because it's still hot. So there you have it, a little twin set of homemade, never used on the road. Disclaimer right now, this is only to move it around the shop, just with a little bit more cushion than just solid mounted coil over shocks. Yep. Like I said, don't do this at home. All right, so there you have it. My makeshift homemade coilovers are now installed, and the weight of the car is on them right now. So there's a little bit of springiness to it now. So let's get it down on the ground now so you can see what it looks like. All right, so the car's on the ground now. Like I said, gives it just a little bit of suspension travel now. So it won't be so rough going in and out of the garage, but I can't state it enough. This is a temporary solution for a minor problem that I gotta be able to move the car around. Right now the duck's in his drinking water. Freaking goofy. But so like I said, this gives me just a little bit of suspension play. That way, when I'm moving it around, it's not so solid and gonna break something else. So at least just gives me a little bit of that cushion. And so that's the only reason I'm doing it, so I can move it basically the other side of the shop so I can clean up here. So that's why I did it. That does it for this video on making a homemade coilover shock. Yes, I do not recommend doing this, but if it's something that you need to move a car around just for a little bit, it's fine. Just do not take it on the road. This will not hold up on the road, obviously. And the springs in the back are from a 2000 Camaro, the front springs. So they're heavy duty, so you can't just do that with any kind of spring either. But anyways, I did this just so I can move the car around a little bit easier. And like I said, it's not the best method, but it's gonna work for what I need to do for now. So if you like this video, go ahead and leave a like down there. Leave me a comment. Please let me know what you think, and what I can do better, and subscribe while you're at it. So until next time, I will see you all later. Always take the shop duct bonus feature at the end. Say goodbye, buddy.